Welcome to this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. The types of business that occur at these meetings include public hearings, official voting on actions by the Board of Commissioners, presentations by departments of the county, and recognition of service that makes our county great. As your elected representatives, the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners is committed to improving the lives of all our residents while preparing county government to meet the demands of the future. In order to do that, we need to share our thoughts and plans with you. More importantly, we need you to share your thoughts, concerns, and opinions with us. We encourage you to come and experience the process by attending any of these meetings. They occur every first and third Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. at the St. Clair County Administration Building at 200 Grand River Avenue in Port Huron.
Ready? I'd like to call the regular Board of Commissioners meeting for August 21st, 2014 meeting. To order, it's 6:02. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tamian. Here. Commissioner Heidemann. Here. Commissioner Riley.
Here.
Commissioner Bohm. Here. Commissioner Greatop. Here. Commissioner Rushing.
Here.
Commissioner Samasco. Yes, 6-0.
Good. We'll move on to 3. Oh, I'm sorry. Pledge allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, would like to make a motion at this time that we appoint Dave Rushing to be chair of the meeting for tonight's meeting only.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay, moving on to 3, additions, deletions, and changes to the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make an addition to the agenda, a proclamation for Community Action Agency's 50th year anniversary.
Support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay, we'll move on to 4. Can I have an approval of the agenda?
I would move the approval of the agenda as amended.
Support. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Okay, moving on to 5, minutes of previous meeting, 5A and B.
Make the motion that the minutes of the July 17, 2014 commission meeting and the 8/7/14 standing committee meetings be approved in 5.
Support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay, we're going to move on to proclamations. 6A. Do we have the proclamation for the Healthy Bodies Day?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the proclamation for Healthy Minds and Healthy Bodies Day be approved.
You have support?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay, we'll move on to 5B, proclamation. Go ahead.
Chairman, at this time I would move that the proclamation recognizing Richard Wohl Sr., Knight of the Legion of Honor, be approved.
Yes. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. This time I'd like to read the proclamation, and we do have 2 family members here. And if you would join me at the podium. I have Warren Spellin and his wife Gloria. I'm going to read the proclamation. Richard C. Wohl Sr., Knight of the Legion of Honor. Whereas Richard C. Wohl Sr., age 95, was awarded the Knight of the Legion Honor Medal. The Legion of Honor Medal is France's highest distinction. It was created to honor extraordinary contributions to France. And whereas Mr. Wohl, a U.S. veteran, risked his life during World War II fighting on French territory, including Normandy and northern France. He also participated in the battles and campaigns of Ardennes, Rhineland, and Central Europe. And whereas only a small number of the Legion of Honor medals are awarded each year in the United States, and care is taken to nominate only those with the most distinguished records. Through 2.5 years of diligent work and dedication by Richard's son-in-law, Lawrence Sabella, the award was received on July 2nd, 2014. And whereas Mr. Wall's decorations and citations also include the Good Conduct Medal, Bronze Star, American Defense Service Ribbon, European African Middle Eastern Ribbon with 1 Silver Battle Star, 3 Overseas Service Bars, and 1 Service Stripe. And whereas during World War II, Mr. Wall fired the big guns and at one point was ordered by his commanding officers to shoot out a church steeple. With no GPS, they would fire 1 long shot, 1 short to get their bearings. He hit the church steeple on the next shot, earning him the nickname One Shot Woogie. And whereas Richard was married to Ida Martinson on April 23rd, 1949. They were married for 53 years and had 6 children. Daughters Gloria, Commander Lauren W. Sabella of St. Clair, Carol Reese of Armada, Marie Wall Molson of North Branch, and Sally, she's married to me, of Riley, and sons Richard Wall Jr., and Richmond, and Robert Wall, who is deceased. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners does hereby adopt this proclamation, extending our deep appreciation to Richard C. Wall Sr. for his distinguished service to his country. We join your family and urge our fellow citizens to join us in congratulating you with the heartfelt thanks and gratitude. Proclaim this 21st day of August 2014, Jeff Bohm, Chairperson, Steve Smasco, Vice Chair, Carl Chamian, Howard Heidemann, Tom Riley, David Rushing, and Bill Graytop, Commissioners. Okay, we'll move on to proclamation for the Community Action Agency.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the proclamation recognizing the Community Action Agency for their 50th anniversary be approved.
I would second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Are we going to present that some other time? Or?
Yes, there's a anniversary picnic. I think it's next week, and I'm going to be presenting that
Okay.
proclamation to them at their picnic in Pine Grove Park. I can look up the date for you too, if you're interested.
Okay, we'll move on to 7, the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would move to approve items 7A through 7D on the consent agenda.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay, moving on to reports of standing and special committees. I'll start with Jeff.
One thing that I want to touch base with, and we're going to have a discussion on this in the relatively near future. Tom Riley and myself went up to the convention center, met with Orion Construction here a couple days ago. And there's been some discussions regarding temporary power or possible permanent power at the site, backup power. Rich Ainsworth from Ainsworth Electric came and attended. Rich does a lot of temporary power around the area, and kind of asked him some different questions, input, so on and so forth. And we need to decide whether we want to have essentially, I guess, a transformer that you're able to plug into if we need a temporary power, or eventually a permanent power fix. That is about a $30,000 item to do that. That's not bringing the generator in and everything else. So I think maybe at the next meeting we need to get some more information regarding it, but it's something that we've got to say yay or nay relatively quick on. And I just want to make you aware of that. Possibly the next meeting have some more discussion on it. You want any thoughts?
Yeah, I think the whole idea behind it is if we're going to have standby backup power, now is the time, not to wait until something is built, and after it's built, and go back in and say, gee, I wish we would have. And plus the cost would be double what it's going to cost us if we do it right now. And the idea of having it, and there's some other potential uses for that building if we was to come up with some standby power issues. But I think the big thing is, we before they lay the concrete, you know, you get your all your wiring in, your conduits in, and get it replaced, and as Jeff said, put a transfer throw-over switch so that you could roll a unit up, plug it in, flip the switch, and you've got power rolling again. Not to do it before you concrete everything over and completely finish a building and say, gee, I wish we would have done that, you know. I don't think that's the way to go on this. I think it's think ahead a little bit here, and that's what Jeff and I was looking at.
When it was brought to my attention, I had some concerns about Doubletree, if they also have it, because if this is going to be tied into the convention center, do we want the additional cost? And also with our condo agreement with the existing conference rooms in there, are those going to be tied into the new electrical or the old electrical in the hotel? Is there going to be additional cost? So potentially if there's a wedding or some type of event planned for that, is that going to be covered with putting this plug and go if we decide to have electricity there? Also the restaurant, to be able to service.
Probably what we need to do is have the individual that's the on-site, who's actually an electrician by trade, maybe come to our next board meeting, talk to us, little pros and cons about some of the other things. One of the things that I do want to emphasize too is that is going to be the offices for the Convention and Visitors Bureau are going to be housed inside of that facility too. So really just need to have some more discussion, pros, cons, you know, and make a decision, but we'll have to do it relatively quick. So Bill, I think if you want to bring him into the next commission meeting, and we'll get a little bit more information.
The September committee meeting.
And also, another concern was Baker College there, because they're going to be doing some of the catering. Do they have electrical facilities? Because if power goes out and we have ours all set to go, it's still going to be a canceled event. All right, anything else? Mr. Graytop?
Just briefly, during the float down, there was a tragic drowning that took place, but out of that, our Marine Division did an excellent job. They stayed with it when the Coast Guard gave up. They actually stayed with it, and they recovered the body using the underground robot that we acquired about 2 years ago through a Homeland Security grant. They were able to find the body and bring it up and bring closure to the family. They actually had the mother on the boat with them when they found this, and it sounded to me like it was a little bit, do you really want to do that? But Wayne assured me that the mom was there. She wanted to be there. He has done this before, and she was extremely happy that they were able to find the body and bring closure to the family. But I wanted to throw kudos out to the dive team for their steadfastness in discovering that body and bringing closure to that family. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Riley?
Nothing on my committee, but I will say with Bill, what you said about the Marine Division. I think a lot of residents in our county do not know how lucky we are to have a Marine Division as we do. We have one of the top notches in the state, and they're just so well trained, and the leadership is great, and the management.
They're all volunteers.
Yeah, it's just fantastic what they can do with the equipment, and it's. I have to agree with Bill. I think we're so fortunate.
Write that down, that he agreed with me, please.
They also came and gave us a presentation, which Bill could highlight on. I don't know if they used that submarine camera thing they had.
Yep.
That was a big addition to our dive team, and it's probably assisted in this. For those who aren't aware, the guy was from Fenton, wasn't from St. Clair County at the time. All right, Mr. Heidemann.
I have nothing to report.
Mr. Cumming?
I do have a report. I have a memo here to share with all of you. And I'll just go over this briefly with you. As you all remember, back in May, our agreement with our administrator controller expired, and we extended that agreement for 90 days, and you authorized me to work directly with Mr. Kaufman to draft a new agreement. And tonight, what I'm going to do is give you a status report. Basically, we've reached a tentative agreement. Some of the differences between it and the other contract, a lot of it, most of it had to do with elimination of what I call superfluous language. To me, it was clear, and Bill confirmed this in our discussions, that this agreement has been amended several times for previous administrators for various concerns, and a lot of that is no longer applicable, so we're gonna be striking a lot of that language. You're gonna see a much shorter and concise contract. It's being reorganized so it's easier to read and understand. We'll be addressing changes in compensation, and we're going to have a performance evaluation specifically referenced in the agreement. This agreement is going to be scheduled to be put on our next committee agenda September 4th. Prior to that, we're sending it over to our corporate counsel to have them take a look at it, and we will have that as a regular agenda item at our next committee.
Just a little comment for Carl. I don't know a lot of people. Carl is a previous city manager, administrator. You currently serve with the Michigan Municipal League on some of the search committees for other administrators. So you have a tremendous amount of experience in this, more so than anybody we have, perhaps even at the county. So that's why we assigned Carl to work with Bill and get this hashed out, because it is a level of expertise that he does bring to the table. So I feel very comfortable, confident that that you're able to get something done, and then it's what you do for a living. So
Yeah, actually, I help cities seek new managers, townships, counties, and one of the services that we offer through the Michigan Municipal League is actually helping the elected board draft agreements with their administrators. So I'm going to use some of my training and experience there to come up with some revisions that Bill and I have been working on.
All right. Thanks, Carl. I just have one real short thing, and maybe Mr. Christie and Mr. Remenap. I also serve on the Planning Commission for Riley Township. Had a meeting Monday night, and they are going to be forwarding a request to the county to get a quote on updating the master plan. It's just about complete, but they will be getting a quote for finishing up the work. So that is an option that the county is currently doing. They did Grant Township, I believe, recently. So they're just finishing that up. Did they finish that, Bill? Grant Township?
Grant Township, I believe they have finished that, yes.
So that's it for me. Okay, do we have any citizens wishing to address the board? Okay, any citizens wishing to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move on. Any unfinished business? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. 11A, introduction of township officials. Mr. Christie, he's the township supervisor for Columbus. Appreciate you inviting us out here. Like coming out here and hearing my history. You got anything you want to give us? Highlights of Columbus? Or any other officials? I don't see any other from Columbus.
All good in Columbus.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to 11B, water monitoring project update.
Well, good evening. And you're getting a tag team presentation tonight. I'm going to give you just a real brief overview, and then I'm going to turn it over to some other people to give you the technical end of it. But this is basically a two-pronged project, and the first part of the project is a classroom element to it at St. Clair County Community College. And then the second part is going to be the involvement of the water plants up and down the St. Clair River and into Lake St. Clair. Currently, the community, we have the water plant of EWSD up in Lake Huron participating, along with Fort Huron, Marysville, St. Clair, Algonac, and Iowa. And what they'll do is they'll take samples and ship them up to SC4, and SC4 will run the samples, and the chemistry professors here are going to tell you exactly what they're going to be looking for. Everything right now is preliminary, and it's just starting to get rolling. What we'd like to do is come back in 6 months or so, once the program is really rolling, and give you a real good update and the results that we're finding. I do have to apologize. We did have a mix-up. We were going to have a short PowerPoint presentation. That's not going to happen. So we're going to get completely verbal. So with me tonight, we have Judy and Bill Westrick, who have been instrumental in putting this together. along with Joe Gibbons and Larry Mavis, who are college professors, and they're prepared with the chemistry department at SC4. And with that, I know Larry's got a presentation. I don't know if Joe is going to be.
I'm support.
You support? I'm going to turn that over to Clair. And I'll support you.
We're right behind you. All right, well, good evening. As he indicated, we are the chemistry department of C4. And for this project, one thing that you should know is that we have subdivided the duties into the technical end, which is my half of it, and the administrative part, which is Joe's end. So, figuring out which samples can be sent where and how, that's what he's going to be taking care of. And I'm going to be taking care of the machinery and things of that nature, and hopefully keeping everything on track from the technical side. We have been setting things up now for a few months. When we found out about this back in, was it February, March? February. We enlisted a number of our best students, and we're happy to say that they took the challenge, and through last week, actually, they've been coming up on their own time and volunteering to help us with the analysis of some of the samples in a preliminary fashion to make sure that we understand the difficulties and overcome them. And with that, we've also, something that you also, I think, be interested to know, and you already may know, is that when Iowa Township in particular got news of this, they were very excited about the possibility of us also helping them to train some of their water plant people. This has been a real problem for them. They don't see resources available for that, and so they asked if we would be able to do that. And so one of the things we're going to do in the fall is to see what our administration thinks of that, and quite possibly provide some training for them as well on that. And so John said, it's a preliminary kind of thing at the moment, but we are getting pretty close to being ready to go in a very concrete fashion.
Can I just add in one thing? It's not just Iowa Township that needs the technicians and the operators. This is the statewide need. And so I think right now the only place you can go is there's a place up in the UP that offers training for certification for water plant operators. So to have something like that in Fort Huron at SC4 would be really big. It'd be huge in the southern part of the state.
Very good.
And just one last thing, I want to acknowledge and thank Wayne State and Judy and Bill in particular for their help with this. It's really been very important to us to have that support, and we expect that that's going to continue with regard to helping us to procure grant money and other ways of continuing this effort.
Sure. Just to follow up, it's really a cooperative effort between SC4, the water plants, the health department, and Wayne State. Wayne State has been providing some technical assistance on all of this. And you might get into what you're sampling for right now. You want to cover that?
Okay.
And what the preliminary results have been.
Okay. The EPA for a long time has had protocols for the analysis of what are called priority pollutants. Historically, these were found down the Mississippi River, and then they began to look at them throughout the entire water system of the country. And we are currently looking at what are referred to as the base and neutral fractions, and the acid fractions are coming along. And again, with some more money, we'll be looking at what are referred to as the volatile organics. Together, it's about 130 compounds, which have all been linked to various kinds of health hazards and so on. And preliminarily, we'd be happy to know that we're not seeing anything, but it is preliminary. We're not in a position to give anybody a clean bill of health, but what we're seeing so far, it looks like we gotta drink it.
Can I add? I want to make sure you understand that we aren't going to be a contract kind of a lab, an EPA certified lab, so all of our results really should be thought of as preliminary, even when we feel like our system is really running smoothly. we're gonna be like the first responders, and if there is something that we see, we're gonna send it off to somebody who's got the credentials to be able to really verify that that's in there.
And just again to emphasize, this is a real good collaborative effort, and it's going to cover from Lake Huron down the river and into Lake St. Clair. So it's a real comprehensive program. So we're really excited about this.
Does anybody have any questions for him?
Yeah.
I just have one. You mentioned Ira. You working in any other municipalities besides Ira within St. Clair County?
Oh, well, yeah. We have the DWSD plant, where they're taking samples from up in Lake Huron, Port Huron, Marysville, St. Clair, and Albion.
And
Thank you.
we've done sampling outside of the plants too. It's not restricted to just the plants. We're trying to take samples from a variety of sources.
And ones of the people that I've talked to, I emphasize to them that, you know, if they see a need, if they look outside their facility and they see a boat that's been there leaking oil or something, we'll be happy to, you know, run some samples for it, whatever we can do to help the county.
I think Judy, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna make a comment is that, when you talk about the one place up north, it's Escanaba Community
Yes.
College, and it's
Do you
actually.
do you mind coming on
Okay,
so
fine.
we
Yeah,
can get
I'll
you
come
on
up here.
TV?
It's Escanaba Community College. I know quite a bit about the program, and these guys are really, that's a nationally noted program, and these guys can really run it for the money. It's ran by 4-year degrees and master's degrees, and you guys are way more qualified, so I highly encourage you, and if you need some letters of support on that, I think you're gonna really, if you go that route, it's gonna be good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll see you in 6 months or so.
All right.
Thanks, John.
We'll leave the motion or anything, so we'll move on to 11C, county disbursements.
At this time, I would move to approve county disbursements for July 2014 in the amount of $10,528,206.74.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? The roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to 11D, workers' compensation agreement renewal.
I would make the motion to approve the renewal of the workman's compensation agreement with Broadspire Services in the amount of $57,300 for a term of September 1st, 2014 through August 31st, 2016.
Support. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes. All right, we'll move on to 11F.
At this time, Mr. Chairman, I would
I'm
move
sorry,
to...
11E.
E. Yep. I would move to approve the storage facility lease agreement with Waden Enterprises for the hazmat and dive team in the amount of $33,600 with a term of 1/1/14 through 12/31/14.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just have one question, sir. Have they been in the building since January 1st? And are we backing the rent up to that date? Because that's what...
Actually, they've been in this building for at least a year, perhaps longer. During negotiations, though, we agreed to back this up just to the beginning of this year,
All right.
January this year.
That's my only question. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to 11F.
Mr. Chair, I would like to move the approval of a lease agreement with Applied Imaging for 13 copiers in the amount of $25,375.08 for a 5-year term.
Support?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bohm.
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
All right, moving on. 11G.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve a renewal of the subscription for Westlaw for a 3-year term in the amount of $66,080.62.
Support?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Riley,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowman,
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian,
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop,
Yep.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, could I make a comment for some of the people? It may seem that we're going through and spending a lot of money in a hurry, and that's because we went through all of these requests at our committee meeting 2 weeks ago. So we've had 2 weeks to go over the budgets and the various things, so if it seems kind of fast, that's kind of the reason.
That's normal procedure for our full board meeting. We go through our committee meetings. They last a bit longer than our normal meeting, but we go through everything and get all the questions that we have then. Of course, if we have more questions, we'll have them at this meeting, but pretty much this has all been hashed through prior to it, all our full board meetings. Okay, moving on to 11H.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept funding in the amount of $42,200 to implement a breastfeeding peer counselor program and to add a temporary part-time peer counselor position to the Health Department manning table through September 30th, 2015.
I would second that.
Well, I do have some questions. Any other discussion? I would like to talk to Dr. Merkentant. She's present here.
And my apologies, Rushing, for not following up sooner and making sure you got those resources you requested.
This is one of the things we discussed at a prior committee meeting, and I was provided the information tonight, all of this here, and we discussed this, but I brought up a few questions because that information wasn't available at our committee meeting. So I did get a few questions of my own, and this was on the short version. The position approval of the Board of Commissioners and the SCC St. Clair County allocation $42,200. On the, just beneath that, under the budget, it'll require a separate element column in the CPBC budget and a separate cost detail page in the standard budget. Now, your office is going to handle that? There's going to be time involved in that, above and beyond the $42,000, or is that included?
It's included in the
Okay.
$42,000.
So whoever this person is, that'll be part of their duties?
That amount will be adequate to cover their entire expense.
Right. What they're going to be doing is, you break this down, because I got some questions on their specific duties, and that isn't part of their duties, at least from the short version I have here,
The duties.
of the preparing a budget.
No,
Evidently, that's
The
required.
person would be hired would not be involved in preparing the budget. We would be preparing that budget.
Okay,
on
so
their behalf.
somebody on your staff will have to,
Yes.
so there'll be slightly additional cost, adding a budget line item to your budget.
It would be minimal, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's see, on the history, I got a note here for detail. St. Clair County Health Department is committed to improving breastfeeding experiences and rates among WIC-enrolled women. Current statistics outline significantly lower percentage of breastfeeding initiation and duration in St. Clair County compared to the state of Michigan. Then I look over here, and I'm going on the initiation, or, I mean, in the initial, you got 6 months of the state, and I'm showing we're at, in 2013, we're at about 11%, and the state is 15.5.
Correct.
Where do those stats, that's kind of what I asked to get for, and it's probably in what I got tonight.
Those states are from WIC statistics. We do collect those through the WIC program.
Okay.
Statewide statistics are also done through PRAM. It's a pregnancy-related and breastfeeding-related initiative through the journal, or MDCH. So I believe some of that data statewide, statewide we have breastfeeding initiation rates that are reported, and then we have sub-reporting on the WIC population in general, which is considered a higher risk population.
Okay, and that's,
And the WIC population
That's WIC
in
only.
general has considerably lower breastfeeding rates.
okay. Who provided the graph here? The graph that we were provided with, who gave you the stats?
I believe that information was collected with our supervisor, Kathy Blado, who
Okay.
runs our WIC program.
And this might be an obvious question. The next one was monitoring breastfeeding data is part of a current breastfeeding quality improvement plan and the foundation for evidence-based intervention. Proposed funding for a peer counselor position will assist St. Clair County Health Department to expand. That statement says that you already have a position there, that does it?
We have traditionally received funding through the WIC program to hire a peer breastfeeding support person. We've been hiring her through MSU Extension for several years. Her name is Carol Bublitz.
Okay.
And despite that, she's provided some counseling, but despite that, our breastfeeding rates have remained very stagnant. So this is a more enhanced peer-to-peer support.
Looking at the stats that was given us, I just always think St. Clair is a great county to be in, and how we would rate lower than the state average. That's why I was kind of questioning the figures, so.
Yes, sir. We rate lower than the state average in many health indicators, which I shared with you in the past as well.
It says wage range, temporary scale, T602, $14.55 an hour. Well, it says temporary. Is that going to be the same scale for as long as that position is
As
held?
long as that funding is available through the state.
Okay. And let's see. To act as an advocate in the breastfeeding community while providing basic education, problem solving, and support to pregnant and breastfeeding mothers enrolled in the WIC program. Do we have a total count per population? You take St. Clair County, 163,040. How many are actually involved in this?
I meant to get those numbers for you. So WIC services approximately 4,000 women and children
Okay.
annually. The proportion of what that is for our total Medicaid population, I don't have those figures available. That's less than our total Medicaid
Because
population.
then I could take the 42,000 divided by the amount of participants and see what kind of funding is going potentially to each individual, even though it's going to pay for the physician. But that's the kind of funding. If
You know,
if
and
it's
do
10
recall,
people.
this is funding that comes through WIC that was previously just diverted into a different functionality. So we're really taking the same funding that was available and reapplying it to a more enhanced program that has more evidence behind it to support the outcomes.
And I don't know if they relayed the questions to you, but I was always concerned about expanding the government. And even though it's not our money, it's still tax dollars being collected. And I believe breastfeeding class is already given at the hospitals when they're giving birth. So I think this
But if
is.
the outcomes aren't there,
Right.
and if you keep doing the same thing and you're getting not the results you want, you do need to consider doing other programs.
What would your goals be for the results that you want? To match the state standards, or?
Well, the data would suggest that a program like this can increase the rates approximately, I believe, 20 to 30%. I don't know that we have established any outcome measures, but we'll be watching that data, and if you'd like us to give you a follow-up report, we can certainly do that.
If we're going to take money, we should have goals what we're going to do with the money. Be running a business, that's just the way I think. All right, you answered my questions. Is there any other questions?
No.
Do we need a roll call on this? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I am opposed, so I just needed more info. All right. Moving on to 11I.
At this time, Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the fiscal year 2014 Emergency Management Performance Grant Agreement in the amount of $41,502, and there is no match required.
Support.
Any discussion? Just all in favor? Aye. Motion passed. 11J.
I would make the motion to approve the 2015 Community Corrections Plan in the amount of $305,142.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. 11K.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the commission approve the request to establish the necessary accounts with Bank of America to conduct Canadian currency conversion on electronic transfers.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. 11L.
I'm
St.
sorry,
Clair.
Mr. Chair. I would move the approval of the proposal for funding for the part-time farm bill conservation technician in the amount of $15,000 over a 3-year period.
Support.
Any discussion? Do we need a roll call on
Can if you want. It's fine if you remember.
that? It's money, so roll call, please.
Commissioner Greatham.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Bohm.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. 11M.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would move to adopt Resolution 14-39, ratifying the collective bargaining agreement with St. Clair County Human Resources Clerks and Specialist Employees Association.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. 11N.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve the contract with AT&T for internet service for a 3-year term in the amount of $110,151.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Greatham.
Yep.
Commissioner Bohm.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes. Moving on. 11O.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the request to add a part-time clerk typist to the equalization manning table.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. 11P.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would move to approve the renewal of the agreement with Strategic Communications Solutions, formerly SFA, for lobbying and grant writing services for a term of 9/1/14 through 8/31/17 in the amount of $270,000.
Second?
Any discussion? I believe we need a roll call.
Commissioner Bohm.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Greatham.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. 11Q.
I'll make the motion to adopt Resolution 14-37, approving the Corps' agreement with the Michigan Department of Transportation.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. 11R.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would move to approve the Sheriff's Department manning table adjustment, moving a position from the Service Bureau to the Pretrial Services Department and necessary budget adjustments.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay, we'll move on to 12, the Administrator's Report.
Good evening. First thing I'd like to do is turn this over to Carrie Hefting to give you a brief update on how work on the 2015 budget is progressing.
I am happy to let the board know that I have met with almost every department, and we do have a balanced budget right now for 2015. We were able to sit down and go through everyone's budgets and come up with a balanced budget. All of the changes and reductions were all permanent structural changes, and we are only proposing eliminating one position that is currently vacant. In the next month or so, I'm getting all the individual numbers into the accounting system, and I'll come to the board with the formal budget packet probably in October.
I'll just chime in. You guys, I've been on the board, as many of you know, 10 years, and those budget battles were a whole lot of hard feelings, kicking and screaming, and for you guys to do what you've done in the last couple of years, it's pretty phenomenal. So I'll give you and Bill a tremendous amount of credit. So
I'd have to agree with Jeff on that. You know, pardon?
Clerk record that? You agree with Jeff?
Actually, let me rephrase this. Actually, I was on 02, 04, and the budgets were so not bad at that time, but then everything kind of went downhill from there. So the board had some very tough years before I got back on 2 years ago, and we've starting to make a big turn.
We fixed it before you got back.
We what?
We fixed the budget process before you got back.
You're very fortunate too. But I think for you and Bill, the job you've done is just fantastic the last 2 years. I mean, it really has. And people in the system really appreciate the opportunity to work and such a good relation there. And you're not going to please everybody every moment, but I think there's a lot of hard work went into it. I got to applaud you for that.
Yeah, I have to say, nobody left the budget meetings angry. Everybody kind of left pretty happy with how it went, and overall we made about $750,000 worth of reductions.
Yeah, Commissioner Hedman.
Just a comment. Carl and I attended the MAC region meeting. The Cunningham ruling was brought up, and the implication that may have for a budget that we don't know about yet, which could be a hole as big as $1 million in our budget. So I know that we've got to figure out a way to get through to our state legislators that was a court ruling, but the legislature and the governor can fix it. And we need to get together with not just our court administrators, but maybe all of them from the region, and develop a strategy for dealing with that potential situation, because it wasn't a problem until the ruling, and we've been operating that way for as long as I've been a commissioner, which is 12 years. So
We did reduce our revenues in the budget next year because of that court ruling. So we are anticipating the less revenues. We went and analyzed all the collection reports to see how many days out our collections are, if they're 18 months, 36 months, to come up with a good estimate of what we think our reduction will be in 15, and then it'll further be reduced in 16 if there isn't a fix.
And Carrie, this is a Supreme Court case where they ruled that what are the fees called? The costs that they were assessing to parties were unconstitutional, correct?
They are only allowed to assess fines and costs that are specifically defined in a statute.
And so many of the courts have been exceeding that, and that's causing a big problem for all the counties across the whole state of Michigan. Thank you.
Right, I'd like to continue and just say thanks to Carrie's efforts and our administrator, but also all our department heads. Without their work in this too, and everybody that's involved with the budget, they put a lot of work to make this work. And also our chair, Jeff Bohm, has had very good guidance in the past few years. Thank you.
I'd agree with you.
So we'll talk a little bit more about budget development at a board meeting where it's presented, and we hopefully wrap it all up. So, thank you, Carrie. The audit for 2013 has been completed. Carrie and I have met with the auditors and gone through their findings. They will be meeting with the Board of Commissioners and making a presentation on their findings at their committee meeting on September 4th. The copy of their findings will be sent to all of you prior to that. It will be in the agenda packet itself. The audit will be posted on the county's website also, so the community can certainly take a look at it. The SMG's manager, the general manager, is in town. They are also bringing another staff person on board next month. Temporarily, they will be located in administration's suite. They will have office space there. As you recall, they're managing not only the conference center, but they'll be managing McMorran as well. So they may not always be in our building. If you would care to meet with them at any time or just introduce yourself, we can certainly make those arrangements. I'd suggest you call ahead, maybe schedule an appointment so we can ensure that they will be in the building as opposed to being out at one of the two locations. The general manager as well as the assistant general manager will be touring the convention center next week. They get an idea of what's going on. They'll spend some time with the construction managers to go through the blueprints, and as the project proceeds, they'll be coming over to the site as well. We expect them to take over management of the existing areas that can be leased out that are owned by the county probably within the next 60 days. We have met with some of the SMG staff to start talking about potential fees and what's being charged in the area. So they'll be working on a fee schedule and presenting it to you sometime in the near future.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I had the opportunity to sit in on the interviews of these candidates, and I came away with two takeaways. First was that we really had some outstanding candidates. I'm really excited about our new general manager who comes to us from South Bend. I'm familiar with the center that she used to help manage because I managed a small city over in that area. So that was very impressive. But the other thing that I learned during these interviews is how much SMG is going to bring to the table other than the manager in terms of support, because they manage all the major convention facilities in Grand Rapids, in Saginaw, and now they're managing Cobo. They have a lot of administrative muscle here in Michigan, and I think that's really going to help our convention center as well as the board.
Easy.
Okay, earlier it was mentioned the Robinson agreement, is that it? Cunningham, I'm sorry, the Cunningham decision. Carrie and I did receive a letter from MAC today, an email from MAC today. There's been some rumors that there's a bill that has been kicking around that would address this, but no one has been able to see it. Our court administrators have tried to track it down. Our lobbyists have tried to track it down. So we finally heard from MAC today. They do have some language they intend to share. We have contacted them, offered our assistance to help review it and perhaps even get the Region 7, all of the counties within our region, to meet and offer any feedback we may want to give MAC before they present it in Lansing. So we'll keep you updated on that. At the last meeting, you took final action on moving the day treatment night watch wetland mitigation site to a new location. That location has been surveyed already. The site survey was completed this week. The results of that survey will be sent off to DEQ next week. DEQ has indicated that it will probably take them 2 months or just a little bit less than that for them to complete their review, coordinate EPA's review, and then issue a permit for the development of the site behind day treatment night watch. Staff has been told to begin working directly with the Sheriff's Office to put together necessary RFPs to prepare for the clearing of that site, the grading of the site, and then the construction of the impound lot that would be constructed there. You've already taken action on the Conservation District proposal. One of the things that I learned this week from Joe was that Macomb County had approved their request to fund their share of the project. I don't believe that was in your agenda packet. He was certainly prepared to comment on that. That was an issue that you had. I just want to make sure you know before you leave tonight that Macomb County has committed to their share of funding that particular project. And that is it. If you have any questions.
I have a question, not directly on point, but when we signed our contract with Macomb County to be our detention facility, there was some space that was freed up in the jail. there was some talk at that time of perhaps converting that to additional jail space. Has there been any more movement on that idea?
Yeah, actually, at that time, the discussion was that we could potentially convert some of that space to house additional federal prisoners. And I think we all realize the benefit of bringing in federal prisoners to the community. However, some of the rules, policies have changed at the federal level. There are fewer individuals that are detained by the federal government. Our population of federal prisoners has dropped somewhat. Captain Bliss, along with Sheriff Donald, do the best they can to try and maximize the federal prisoner bed count, but it has dropped significantly. Some of the recent discussions that staff has had with the Sheriff's Department have indicated that at this point they would certainly not encourage us to invest in money in converting that site to house federal prisoners, because keeping those bed counts up just is not reliable like it used to be a year or 2 or 3 years ago. The federal government has also opened a facility on the west side of the state where they are taking some of their detainees as well.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yeah, just another thing related to the SMG. I'm the representative for the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and they have been waiting to get to a point that they felt comfortable that they would actually be able to hire an additional person specifically to market the convention center. And we had our meeting earlier this week, and they so gave them the marching orders to get that additional person. I can tell you the Convention and Visitors Bureau is committed, and they really, basically everybody said this needs to be the absolute thing that they focus on, is, filling that thing. So, they're going to be obviously a good partner for us and stuff. So.
I'm sorry, I totally forgot to mention anything about the convention center. As you're all aware, some of the precast walls began going up today. The intent is to close in the pre-function area as quickly as possible. And then after the steel is put on, that portion of the roof goes in, then you'll see the other precast walls go in also. Our goal is to get the entire facility closed up before the weather starts to get bad in September, October, November, whenever it gets bad this year. So we hope that we'll have this closed in by early October. And the newspaper is going to be doing, I think, a fairly lengthy story this weekend about the facility and progress that has been made. There will be a lot of pictures of the facility as well, and some of the activity that's gone on there the last couple of days. There is a financial report that is in your budget or in your agenda packet. Every month we give you a complete financial report. And I just want to point out to you that remaining within the budget is $4.5 million to spend on this project. So as of July 30th, so we still have a ways to go.
If I could, just I want to reiterate that this is well within budget. We're not looking at any overcost at this point on the convention center.
Right. You will see, in addition to the financial report, we added, I think it was last month, maybe in June, we added an additional page on the financial report that looks at, the change orders. And as with any construction project this large, there will be changes. This is an effort to keep the entire board and the public aware of changes. We've had 4 change orders so far, and the net impact of the project has been $6,400.
Actually 5, and it's $2,800.
Yeah.
I just said that last one.
Just that, okay. That one's not recorded in what's here, so.
However, the question then is, what part of our contingency fund is that?
A very, very small portion of our contingency.
Okay, so
You know, I think the project, our biggest unknown with this project was the underground. And we're past the point at which any foundations or footings need to be put in. So we don't expect that there's going to be any big surprises as we move forward.
And I think we're getting some pretty good numbers on if we need to wire that or pre-wire that building for a backup generation, if we want to move in that direction. I don't know about the other commissioners, but I feel we really need to take a look at that, if nothing, just the pre-wiring, whether we hook up a generator or anything like that, but to have the conduit in and wire pooled or whatever's needed to get ready. And I know that wasn't in the original bid, but I think it's something that we might want to add on. Might be money well spent now.
You have anything else for the administrator?
I move that we accept the administrator's report as presented. Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Moving on. Miscellaneous business.
Just gonna touch base on one thing. Spent a lot of time in the city of St. Clair lately. I'm working with the city and Community Foundation. Community Foundation has a sizable set aside that's specifically earmarked for the city of St. Clair. And the interest produced of that money has to be spent in St. Clair every year. You see that the Community Foundation is currently redoing the center courtyard in the mall down there. And out of this, there had been a lot of discussions previously about redoing some things with M29 down there to do some more connectivity with the park. We had a meeting with MDOT this morning, some county folks, Dan Lowers, myself, transportation people, just to talk about process as far as doing some possible changes to that. I'm going to be in front of the city council on Monday to present some different things. There's a citizens group that's out raising substantial money to do some additional improvements. So you're going to be reading a lot of St. Clair stuff here in the paper in the near future. And, you know, I've been involved with it just because I know all the cast of characters on all sides of the table there. So it's all good stuff for the city.
Any other miscellaneous business?
Mr. Chair, I move that we receive and file packets and all information presented at a regular board meeting.
Support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. I have a motion to adjourn.
I'd so move.
And I would support it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned.
I didn't agree with you.
We hope you enjoyed this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. Your St. Clair County Commissioners broadcast these meetings on Comcast Local Access Channel 12 every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. If you have any questions on any part of this program, please feel free to contact your St. Clair County Board of Commissioners or staff. You can find their contact information, the meeting agenda, and videos of the meetings at www.stclaircounty.org.